hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Can you see Ítalo Ferreira is the question.
I can. The men's heat number 2 is hitting the water right this very minute. Ítalo versus Jack Robinson.
Surf talk right out of the gate. Who would have ever thunk it? David Lee Scales.
Really, I mean, it's the one day a year, I suppose. I expected you actually to cancel today's show because you were going to be down on the cobblestones.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. Let's get into that. Let's get into that right away. I thought a lot about it, right? I was thinking, I mean, as a writer, as a former surf journalist, uh, to take the temperature, to get the flavor, to be amongst it, to be with the people, et cetera, et cetera. Thought about it and I thought, you know what? No, I've done that. I've done it twice. Uh, I'm not doing it a third time. The World Surf League needs to do better for me to actually go. And the only thing I miss about this is being with the people. Aside from that, I know what that event is. Again, done it twice, stood by the Africanized bees. I've written that way, that thing, any way it can be written. Watching it on screen, it is absolutely profoundly 100% not worth my time to drive up there and do it, even though it's a 30-minute drive, even though the lift is not that much, which I'm putting all on the World Surf League. Like the fact that I'm not there is a World Surf League problem.
I feel the same way. I do still enjoy it. Like the fact that it's streaming on my phone right now while we're recording this means I do enjoy it to a certain degree. But you're right, it's the amount of lift involved. And even if it is a relatively light lift, it's still too much at this point to keep me fully engaged or to require me to spend time in the car, do the hike, that sort of stuff. And I think I'm
Anything else is better. Like legit, my daughter had a math test today, right? A computer math test thing. And the thought of like, okay, I got to help get her set up and all this kind of stuff. That was a better bar, or that was the level of bar
amazing.
that the World Surf League could not hit, which again, this is not personal animosity. This is not
No,
anything. I would fully go uh if it was interesting at all or decent or if there was any reason at all to be there. And again, put it right on the World Surf League. There is not.
I'm as hardcore of a surf fan as there that exists, of course. Um, Years ago, I used to do these really, maybe I even mentioned this to you at some point, but years ago, I used to do these really detailed podcasts about, they were event recaps, postscript was what I'd call them. And it was just a review of like you guys post contest reviews on Beach Grit. I would do it in a podcast form. And I enjoyed doing them for a period of time. And then I kind of enjoyed it less and less and less. And I saw one of our listeners who came on our El Salvador surf trip in April mentioned that he really enjoyed those. He goes, "Man, I miss those. I wish you would still do them. Why'd you stop?" I was like, "The only reason I stopped was the surfing became less and less interesting. I had 4 or 5 events in a row where I felt like I was just regurgitating the same exact event from before because it was run in 4 foot beach breaks. And I was just trying to decipher heat after heat after heat after heat was just about people getting a 6'2" versus a 6'4" and trying to figure out the drama within that. And there really wasn't any. And
Especially because
so
it's especially it being arbitrary, right? Even so far today,
totally,
the judging is wildly arbitrary or feels wildly arbitrary.
totally. And so it was like, look, until they can engage me to be interested enough to spend 6 hours writing a recap and then recording it, like I'm not going to waste my time anymore. I'll wait until they do better at what they're doing. So ultimately, I think we feel the same way. But let's set the topic with today's finals day, and then we'll go on to the regular part of the show or the bulk of the show, and we can kind of reference what we're watching in real time. It is the grit. It is September 6th. It is 2024. It is obviously finals day at Lower Trestles. It's the first day of the waiting period. The day kicked off with Tatiana Weston-Webb steamrolling through Molly Picklum, and then again in a second heat over Brissa Hennessy. So she could be making a run for the title with all the momentum of Stephanie Gilmore in a previous year. The men's first heat was Ítalo in 5th position versus Ethan Ewing. Did you watch that heat?
I sure did. And again, suspect judging, I feel. I don't know how Italo's final kind of wasn't a throwaway air, but it was a throwaway section, big air throwaway section, how that
Close
got the
out.
score, to be honest. Like, I feel the judges fall in love and fall out of love. And they were in love with Ethan's clean kind of hacking attack, not hacking attack, just his, power surf wrap, like smooth as butter, right? Versus 𝗕𝗏𝗏's kinetic kind of thing. And I wonder, in moments like these, in times like these, you learn to live again. If the judges, they're sitting there in their booth looking out. I mean, really at this point, and let's be honest, the surf fan who actually goes is like 85% Brazilian. You can see it at lower trestles. It's just basically a Brazilian fan down there on the beach. If they're looking out of their judging tower thinking, "Ooh, man, if we don't push 𝗕𝗏𝗏 here, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly getting out."
So I liked that heat a lot. I thought it was exciting, dynamic, great kind of finals day. We're building up to this day, and to have it go back and forth like that makes it a lot of fun. But I did tap into exactly what you're talking about too. And I had an epiphany watching the heat, which is kind of what I love about surfing is that it's kind of a meta. This epiphany relates to it's a metaphor for life.
A
Surfing
metaphor. Who
is
would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought that surfing is a metaphor for life?
it's why I fell in love with it in the first place. It sounds so cliche, but I've told you this. It was like me going out there as a young kid and confronting the ocean and going through the learning experience. I would go into dry land and feel more apt to take on the real world. Like the lessons learned and the challenges faced kind of made me feel more competent. So, anyways, what I've realized from watching this heat is just how do you want to utilize your time? You know, Ethan Ewing, do you want to go high energy and get a bunch of activities done throughout the course of the day? Or do you want to focus with three powerful, perfect projects on a given day? And so, for you, maybe it's do you want to spend your writing time writing 200 beach grid articles, high energy, keeping up with everything that's happening, try to service everybody? Or do you want to do one book? Just put a bunch of energy into one book. And so I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but I personally, at this point in my life, prefer Ethan Ewing, that style. That's how I want it. I want to just calm, focus, get really precise, really refine my movements, and just do something really well. But my concern for 𝗕𝗏𝗏 is that even if one of his turns on those eight, the first exchange was Ethan 3 turns, 𝗕𝗏𝗏 8 turns. Even if one of 𝗕𝗏𝗏's turns is as good as Ethan's one of his 3 turns,
It's
it gets
very,
lost. It
yeah,
falls on deaf ears because he has
noise.
so much frenetic energy before and after the one high quality turn, basically.
I wonder if I like your analogy. I like are you going to do a bunch of stuff during the day or focus on a couple things? Focus on a book, for example. I think yeah, I don't know, the Ethan or in that analogy, right? Ethan has people looking at him, I feel, which is a great thing. And I feel that calm, collected, the way he surfs is I don't know. Yeah, it's beautiful and it's relatable. And maybe it's beautiful and relatable to an older person who's like not just like hyped up on, okay, I want to see oh, there's the thing, right? Like I think everybody's just waiting for 𝗕𝗏𝗏 to run down the line and boost. And when he boosts, that's what they want. And like it was great. It was a great heat, fun to watch. I prefer Ethan too as I get older, concentrating on less. Less is more beautiful, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I don't know.
But I think so where this heat actually shifted with 5 minutes left, and I thought the judges got it all right because 𝗕𝗏𝗏 transitioned from that frenetic energy to taking the lead with a wave where he got a 7 on a left and then got a wave with 3 minutes left and it was a right. And his pacing matched Ethan Ewing's and his patience matched Ethan Ewing's on that wave. It was a right. I think he got a 7.67 for it or something like that. And he had already taken the lead, but then he really solidified it with this right. And his right was just like harmonious, like woo, smooth, big swoops, huge turns, paced everything out to match the pace of the wave, wasn't overly frenetic. And then in addition to that, he did a big air on a closeout left. And so when you take everything in its totality, he ticked every single box. He certainly did it on 2 waves to get the two, as the judging format requires. But beyond those 2 waves, he ticked a couple additional boxes to where it left no question in the judge's eyes, nor my eyes as the viewer, as God, he's the complete surfer. And on any wave that presents itself, he did a little bit of everything. It's undeniable.
But let's be honest here, and let's get back to some negativity, David Lee Scales. They're at lower trestles and it's tiny, right? I mean, so yes, like that heat was absolutely Ítalo's to lose. If Ethan would have shocked him, I mean, it would have been an absolute shocker, right? Where I think
Well,
Ítalo realized that halfway through the heat and thought, oh, wait a second. Like, there's no way Ethan can beat me here. I just need to surf 75% of what I do on these kinds of waves. Like Ethan never went to the air. Ítalo was going to the air every single wave. Had one wave where he landed two, like, decent airs, like where I think Ethan, like Tati, is gonna go with her backside attack all the way through. I feel that this whole event is Ítalo's to lose,
well, I
which
think
is a
Ítalo's,
problem for the venue.
I think Ítalo, we identified this prior based on the swell forecast. Ítalo's frenetic energy catching dozens of waves is his strategy. It often is his strategy, but it absolutely benefits him in an environment like this because on if there unless there's like a really direct and intense swell at lowers, there tends to be lulls. And Ethan's Achilles heel was that he didn't have a backup score. Ethan had the highest score of the heat, and then he didn't have a backup score. Or his backup score is like a 5.67. So Ítalo, by virtue of surfing 2 dozen waves and being able to consistently post sevens on almost anything that he gets, is going to put him in an advantageous situation. And it's what happened there. And I think that'll continue to happen throughout the course of the day. It's slow. You're not necessarily guaranteed to get 4 quality set waves in a heat, meaning 2 per surfer. And so you got
But
to
there's
put
gonna
yourself in a position to
but
get
there's gonna be
get
heats where there's zero quality, right? And
yeah.
Ítalo's like 15 waved score line is gonna win the day. Here's the thing about because this is fully entertaining, right? It is also should not crown the champion. And this is the World Surf League should look at this kind of day. This is the funnest format, let's be honest, in surf, right? You don't have to slog through the entire field and then slog through an entire elimination round and then keep
Right.
going. You know, there's going to be one day, starts in the morning, will end in the late afternoon, and somebody will be crowned. It's super fun. It's a great format. It's just completely asinine to think that this is what crowns the champion for the 2024 year, which
Yeah.
included not great waves across the board, but did include some good days at
Yeah.
Pipeline, some good days at 𝗕𝗵𝗃, some good days at Cloud Break, like where the fact that it's going down for the year. And if this was a one-off, if this was the Trestles Cup, why not do them each cups? And I've said this a trillion times, just make it a slam. Like
Yeah.
have Pipeline, whatever. The 4 best waves, they're all one-day events, they're all slams.
Yeah. Well, on the women's side, I mentioned the 2 heats that Tatiana won. Nothing exciting there, nothing world class, nothing groundbreaking, not an advancement of progress or women's surfing or anything like that. So there's not a lot to discuss. The men's heat now with Ítalo versus Jack Robinson, unfortunately, more of the same. It's kind of like Ítalo's getting a lot of waves, doing a couple of airs, has a couple of sixes. Jack is waiting for the good ones, and we'll see what happens if he gets it. But there's 22 minutes left. I got a call from a listener that I think is relevant to this exact event, and actually could be a pros in the wild, if or not a pros in the wild, but a barrel or not if we wanted it to. But let's just play it now instead.
Even Chaz, how's it going? So I was just commenting on a thread on a video that Shroud Stories did about how if the pros are out at our common breaks practicing for a comp, we should just sit and watch and let them snake all the waves. And my feeling is if it's not comp day and they're out there with the rest of us hardworking folks, they need to take their turn in the lineup just like everybody else. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Pros in the lineup. Should you just sit and watch and let them snake all the waves? Or should you expect them to be the common courtesy of sharing waves with everybody else that's out there, whether they're practicing for a competition or not? Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Your thoughts?
2 ways of going about this. There's the Derek Riley school where he's always honored and privileged to be burned by a pro, right? He's like, how often do you get a front row seat to watching somebody, watching a pro, watching artist in their prime, as it were, you know, paint the canvas. Like, so there's that. Then there's the no, you know, you're not special. Like, I'm getting you. I'm gonna teach you. It's the every man. This is surfing is democratic. You know, my stuff is as good as your stuff, etc., etc. Uh, where I fall in the I would like to snake a pro. I'd like to burn a pro. Pros are so much better. It's hard to even burn them, right? Like
Oh yeah.
the way what they see, how they see it, when they see it, how they paddle, where they pick it off, how they'll move around you. Like you got to be, I mean, it's got to be a real specific wave, I feel. One that has one takeoff point, and that's and only one for you to be able to burn a pro. Otherwise, the question is moot. You could want to burn one. You could think, you know, my home, my wave. We're all out here doing our thing. Get lost. Try to do that to a pro, and God bless.
Totally agree. I say to answer the listener's question, no free passes for the pros. And in fact, they should be giving a little bit of grace to you, the laborer who is going to clock in at work at 8 o'clock and you're just having your dawn patrol session. They should be kind of giving a little grace to you. But ultimately, it's a meritocracy and everybody's trying to get their waves. They're better at it than you are. The pro is better at it than you are. And if you can put up enough of a battle to kind of push them back, go for it. Absolutely go for it. They should have to work harder for it. You know what I
You're
mean?
100%. If you can do it, do it and try.
Absolutely.
I'm saying try hard. Here's
It sharpens their blade.
the argument about who was it that made the argument like don't I don't go in like some pro at some point said I don't go into your office. Was it 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵? It was somebody like that.
I'm not sure.
It was like I don't go into your office and start doing your work. So when the ocean is my office. I'm out there working,
There was
right?
a Billy Kemper version of that story, but I don't know if he's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of it might have been Billy Kemper too. It probably was Billy Kemper, and let's just keep on heaping bad guy onto Billy Kemper because guess what surfing needs more than ever? A bad guy. If Billy Kemper can lean into bad guy, then that is great for surfing. Look at how we
Well,
haven't talked about this yet. Look at how
I'm
Zeke Lau.
real quickly. Come back to that. I just want to say, tease it for later. We have a celebrity call in today, Pros in the Wild, in defense of Billy Kemper.
Okay, great, perfect, love it. But all to say that surfing needs a bad guy. So let's put that on to Billy Kemper. That ocean's my office. Don't come into my office. Uh, if I was sitting writing and somebody could come in and write better than me and just sat down next to me and started writing better, I'd be like, oh man, I better up my game here. Or, you know, so exactly to your point, sharpen their blade.
But
If you can.
in this scenario, by the way, they're not walking into your home. You're at Starbucks on your computer writing because
Yeah.
Starbucks is a public space, just like the ocean is. They walk up next to you at Starbucks and outshine you at your not. They're not busting into your house.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I'm getting outshined, then
Yeah.
that's on me, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so, and surfing is a meritocracy. And it's what makes it greater, or it's what makes it great in all this confusing time of, you know, whatever identity versus this, that versus the other thing. Go out there and if you can go burn a pro, by all means.
Well, I interrupted you, but you were getting to Zeke Lau.
Zeke Lau, I keep getting hit up about this. We haven't referenced it yet. For those who haven't seen, Zeke Lau has a new movie that came out, I think. What's it called? Do you remember?
Something to do with the rising of the
Moon?
Phoenix.
Moon? Dark Moon? Black
I don't
Moon?
know. I thought it was something to do with the rising of the Phoenix.
Hmm. Well, we
Phoenix
should go.
Rising?
No. Oh,
No,
maybe. You might be right. We
I can
should,
Google it real quick.
since we feature heavily in the intro, we should know what this movie is. I couldn't tell. So Zeke Lau came out with a new movie, and it begins with talking heads like podcasts and whoever, just voiceover, right? Uh,
It's called New Moon.
New Moon. That's what I thought. See, New Moon. But anyway, it's with I I guess haters talking about Zeke, but I can't tell if he thinks those are hater comments or if they're motivational or if they're getting stuff right? Because he has a clip of me saying like surfing needs a bad guy, basically, and Zeke
Yeah.
Lau is it, and good for him. Which I don't think that's hate talk, right? Did you have any reference to? I mean, I also said that he has a clip of me saying the Ultimate Surfer is the stupidest show ever on TV. ever to appear on TV, where I think that is fairly undeniable. That's not anti-Zeke. That's just true. And so I couldn't tell, was he compiling, these are the haters and I'm going to show them with this movie? Or was he saying, hey, these guys have a point. The Ultimate Surfer was stupid. Surfing does need a bad guy, et
I
cetera, et
think
cetera.
he was playing our clips as these guys are haters on me, but I'm going to rise above it no matter what.
But it didn't seem like the clips he used weren't hater talk. Like me saying that or surfing needs a bad guy and Zeke is that. That's cool.
Yeah, it
That's not
was
hater
also
talk.
me saying I used to like Zeke and I've grown to despise him based on
Oh,
his behavior and his profile.
hater talk.
So I think
So
that's more hater talk. So I think he was just saying like, look, there's all these people out here hating me, but I'm going to rise above it. Or maybe they don't understand me or whatever. To be honest, I didn't watch past the first 30 seconds where he was using our clips, because when somebody sent me, hey, Zeke Lau is using your guys' voices in his new video, I thought they meant when they said Zeke Lau, 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗰𝗵 is the image that popped up in my head. Like Zeke in my mind, I only have room for one Zeke, and there's a different Zeke in my mind now because Zeke Lau is so irrelevant 1 year later. Like I had so much so I didn't even care to watch his video or watch his surfing. That's where Zeke landed for me.
Zeke Lau is really funny. But yeah, I was glad that he did pick the clip. Or for me, for my part, saying the Ultimate Surfer was the stupidest show to ever be on TV. I fully sometimes when you get something out of context that somebody uses and you think, oh, that sounds really bad,
Yeah.
context free, that's a real bummer. Like I didn't mean it that way. And in the conversation, we talked around this thing, all this podcast is all a conversation. So oftentimes we start somewhere, we meander, we end somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
That one statement, I will stand behind that standalone statement till the day I die. I could put that on my tombstone. The
You're
Ultimate Surfer was the stupidest show to ever be on television.
you're right. Now that I think about it, I don't think Zeke was using that necessarily as a hater clip. I think he probably agrees with you that that was absurd.
I mean, but he won too. So maybe he thought I was hating on him because he
Maybe.
won.
Yeah,
Zeke,
maybe.
that had nothing to do with you, man. That
Yeah.
was full stop, all in, the stupidest show to ever appear on television.
Um, well, a little update here in the water. Maybe it's inconsequential, but there was a paddle battle skirmish between Ítalo and Jack Robinson. Could you identify what was going on?
I couldn't. I had zoned out at that point during the paddle battle. I'm back now, zoning into the advertisement
So
about
both
financials.
so the both guys were paddling out, and for priority, Ítalo had the lead, and Jack Robinson was catching up on him. And it looked like Ítalo tried to block him, basically paddled in front of him. And rather than going around him, Jack kept his line and paddled straight basically into Ítalo and made contact, basically bumped him out of the way and made it past Ítalo. Ítalo looked all pissed, splashed the water, and it looks like the judge deemed Ítalo got priority. So maybe Ítalo had already made it to the priority location, got priority, and Jack bullied through him at that point. That's what Ítalo was pissed about. But it looked like a pretty badass move from Jack Robinson from my
Here's
stance.
here's the thing though. If Jack loses this heat, I think a narrative will start to be set about Jack Robinson is that he's easily rattled by not waves like our dear departed Filipe Toledo, who, let's just say it once again, gets very extremely scared in anything over barely head high if it's breaking on a reef. He's a big little baby boy, little sissy honey, who would have crushed it out there today. Filipe Toledo could have started this day at 15 and mowed through all the way to the championship, but he's not there. Anyhow, Griffin Colapinto fully got into Jack's head at Cloud Break. Remember when all of the little kind of grab ass stuff, and it looked like it rattled Jack, and Jack lost that heat. If Jack loses this heat, and again, was already a lot in the lead and stuff, so maybe this is not going to set that narrative, but a narrative could be forming that how to take Jack Robinson down is to get in his head, either paddle in front of him, throw a little fit, tickle him, get him. They keep calling him the Zen master. I don't know how Zen you are if you can't block out a little bit of noise.
Didn't he name his son Zen?
Is that him or yeah?
I think
Darwin
his
is
son's name is
young
Zen.
John.
So
Yeah.
I think he's trying to change that narrative by bullying through Ítalo in this moment right here. I think he's trying to get in Ítalo's head, is what it
Okay,
was.
well, I mean, he is behind
Yeah,
by a fair margin, and yeah, he's
Ítalo's
behind by a fair margin.
yeah, Ítalo's doing what he was doing earlier, which is just catching a ton of waves and surfing them to completion. Jack hasn't gotten any big scores yet. Well, speaking of John, you referenced the child name after weeks of prodding from us and listener submitted recommendations for JJF's kid's nickname.
What do we got?
He dropped an Instagram with a photo of him holding his beloved Darwin and a caption that simply read 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗷.
𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗶. It's good. I mean, that's a bold move right there to choose one of Star Wars' least beloved characters as your baby nickname. But great job. It's cute.
It's cute. And look, we started 2 months ago. Like, we need to come up, name the kid Darwin. What can you possibly do for a nickname for Darwin? And we pitched a bunch of ideas. Apparently he was listening because he dropped an Instagram directed at us. And I got to say, his nickname is better than anything that we came up with.
𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗶. The problem is, I would imagine that the Binks will drop and then it's 𝗕𝗿𝗲,
Right.
or just 𝗕𝗿, which sounds, let's be honest, like a dumb person. 𝗕 Florence is not like, you don't hear, oh, 𝗕 Florence and think that's a sharp tool right there.
There's a rocket scientist,
Yeah.
Dr. Dar.
There is an MIT PhD in mechanical engineering.
Listening to this show, looking to date Jen and change the Subaru stereotype, which we'll follow up with in a few minutes. But first, the Jersey Beach Badge. Tom in Florida said, would love to hear your guys' opinions on the surfer arrested in Jersey. People can steal $900 worth of merchandise in California and walk away scot-free, but in New Jersey, you get arrested for surfing? Seems absurd. We addressed this a little bit last week. We asked for feedback from people in Jersey. Heath in Point Pleasant wrote in to say, hey, David and Chaz, this is for the grit. As you guys were asking for input from us folks who attempt life as a surfer on the Jersey Shore, after many parts and layers of the beach badge incident in Belmar, for proper context, I share this coming from Point Pleasant, the town where Jersey Mike's began long ago, by the way.
Yes.
Chaz loves Jersey Mike's, which is in Ocean County. You could break the Jersey Shore into two parts, Monmouth and Ocean County, which is North Jersey coastline, and then Atlantic and Cape May, which is southern Jersey coastline. My input is strictly for the northern portion, as I sense this fallout and this calamity isn't over yet. But from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend, from the northern tip of Monmouth to the southern tip of Ocean County, you do need a badge as a beach goer. Either a daily badge or a seasonal. Each borough, however, makes their own prices, and what you get for that purchase varies wildly from town to town. Some have boardwalks, bathrooms, food, parking, etc. Others offer absolutely nothing at all, including parking, and make it clear that they want you to stay away. Just to throw even more summer absurdity into the summer experience here, many beaches are owned and run by the municipality, but much of Point Pleasant Beach, where I grew up, is privately owned by a private business. They can do whatever they want, and they surely do. So a family trying to enjoy a summer beach day here is wildly varying situations depending on where they choose to do their day at the beach. And now, for local surfers, this is even more absurd. During summer, it's best to surf before 10 a.m. and then after 5 p.m. No badge checkers, no lifeguards, no police, not caring what we do. Those, quote, beach hours present almost a different set of rules and access for surfing. Some towns simply let surfers access the beach with no badge at all, and surfing is allowed everywhere. Other towns have a designated area for surfing, but may require a surfer to purchase a badge. Some places outright ban surfing everywhere during beach hours. And of course, some of these places charge or change policies over the course of the summer or year to year. It's a roll of the dice depending on where you're checking to surf, if you're checking multiple spots. It's beyond frustrating. This is partly why I despise summer here. I absolutely hate summer as a surfer in Jersey. It is a daily ordeal. And I won't even get into the traffic or bridge openings. to get to the water if it's between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Labor Day is near, and thankfully, this entire absurd system goes away till next Memorial Day. I'll gladly slither into my 5 mil in January outside my car instead of summer BS over here. Keith Grace, Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
Well, there we go. Thank you so much, Keith Grace. And that is about as informative as it comes. That's exactly what I wanted to know and needed to know from the perspective of a surfer. What is this? And it
Yeah.
just seems like it's an absolute hassle.
Total absurdity, totally, this made perfect sense. Like when you saw that arrest happened and then people start chiming in and all the information is just garbled and like seems so convoluted, that makes sense because each little municipality is entirely different and the rules are gray.
I mean, my goodness, but I guess in terms of that, then there's no fixing it ever because I feel like things, especially on the East Coast, like the older I don't know, culture is, the longer it's been around, the more entrenched stuff gets. And I'm sure, whatever, those beaches, the private owned and all those ones are, I mean, every one of this is so entangled. There's no way Jersey's going to ever be able to come in and say, nope, we're making a uniform rule, which is XYZ. So it's just going to be absurd hell forever. But I will say in this, times that I've experienced these kinds of wacky Byzantine whatevers, uh, in them, there's oftentimes ways to slither. Like when there's so many odd, mismatched things stuck together, there's also chinks in lots of armor. And I don't know about Jersey, and I'm sure I'm not at all, I don't know, thinking that Keith Grace is doing it wrong.
No.
Keith Grace is very clearly doing it right. But yeah, there's ways to move and shake when there's a lot of weird bureaucracy.
Does it make you uncomfortable to use the correct term chinks in the armor instead of kinks in the armor?
Nope, because I'm going to keep on with the King's English. It is chinks in the armor. The only meaning I know of chink is in the armor. I don't
Exactly.
know
Me
of
too.
another way to use that word.
And then also for the record, champing at the bit instead of chomping at the bit, and all of a sudden instead of all of a sudden.
Yep. All
Keep
of a
those
sudden instead of all of a sudden.
correct. All of a sudden.
Oh, all of thus, all of all. Wait, what do you use?
The correct phrase is all of a sudden.
Oh, yes. I
Yeah.
thought you were saying the other one was correct. Yeah.
No,
But
all of a sudden is not correct.
it is chomping at the bit, FYI.
It's champing.
You pronounce it chomping.
Oh, but it's spelled champing.
It's spelled champing, but it's pronounced chomping at the bit.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Educational. Well, back to the beach badge. The other way that things change in the era that we are talking about is money. Money talks. And guess what? There's a lawsuit a brewing based on the arrest that happened. And once that municipality gets hit with a $15 million or whatever the number is, all the other municipalities are going to look around and go, oh, shoot, we're going to spend more paying these people out if we do one step wrong than we will gain in revenues by charging them for the badges.
That's true. And I mean, I'm sure this has happened a lot before. I'm sure there's been scuffles. I'm sure there's been, disputes. I'm sure there may have even been a lawsuit, but I feel this one hit national prominence in a way that others will now go out and look to get some too. Will look to, have it filmed, get busted, and sue, which at that point, you're exactly right. Money talks, bull bait walks,
Completely.
bull switch walks.
Back to the surf contest, there was a really interesting exchange where Jack Robinson and Ítalo split a peak, a set wave. Jack going right, Ítalo going left. They both pumped down the line and they both launched in air at the exact same time, coincidentally. And the camera, beautiful work. They had one camera on each guy and they went to a split screen in real time, and you were able to see both launch into the air. Jack ate it, Ítalo greased it, and then completed the ride and solidified his first place standing in this heat.
It is game over for Jack Robinson. So Ítalo has now mowed through Ethan Ewing. He has mowed through Jack Robinson, thereby crushing Australia under his Brazilian flip-flopped heel.
Amazing. 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵's heel. So what's interesting here, I think worth noting, is Jack Robinson has a total heat score right now of a 9.94. He's got a 5.27 and a 4.67, and that is unacceptable at this day. And he had opportunities. He got a couple of set waves. He did not complete the rides.
Well, I mean, this
failed.
and again, this is what I'm saying is moving forward. If this is going to present itself as a problem for Jack Robinson, if he's gonna, because you're already your public persona, your deal is the breathing, is the zen, is the calm. If your Achilles heel is getting rattled, how do you fix that? If you're already zen, if your public facing thing is already, I am water, I am wood, I am whatever, and
Yeah.
you got Colapinto tickling you and Ítalo like going berserk like he does in the lineup, and then you're game over. I don't know. I don't know which drawing board you go to at that point.
It's a great question. Well, back to it for sure. I don't know which one either, but I mean, look, we've said this is not Jack's bread and butter. Like big waves, he will, rise to the occasion. But even still, if you're in the top 5 and you're on a set wave at lowers and you can't stick the landing, that shows a major chink in the armor.
Okay, here we go, because now we have Tatiana Weston-Webb moving up from 5th place into, now she's going against Caroline Marks, the 2nd ranked surfer of the year. We also have Ítalo Ferreira, 5th ranked surfer. Now he will be facing the 2nd ranked surfer, Griffin Colapinto. 2 problems here for the WSL. Both of them, if Tati wins and if Ítalo wins, it'll be absolutely a mockery of a year, right? I mean, Ítalo would have clearly been the best surfer, out and out, far and away, the best surfer on one day at Trestles. He was absolutely, Ítalo Ferreira was, no matter what you think about him, even if he's your favorite hero who ever walked the face of the earth, he did not have the best year. He was not the best surfer of the year. He was barely the best surfer of the day. Like, it was rare for you to think he had a couple of them,
No, it all happened after the back half or after the cut line. He
but
was not, he
even
barely
then,
made the cut.
but even then, even in the back half, it wasn't like, okay, here comes charging bull Ítalo. He's crushing it. He had a couple days where he was like, okay, you're getting glimpses of the old Ítalo, but it wasn't consistent. And so here's the problem, though. So, that makes a mockery of the WSL. Now, problem for Ítalo is he has thrown the kitchen sink at this contest so far. He has thrown every kind of turn, every kind of air. He has caught a total, probably through his 2 heats, of what, let's say 20 odd waves, more. He's caught a ton of waves.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Judges are human. Judges get bored. Judges are guaranteed going to, he's got to keep raising the amplitude. He could throw the same thing he did in heat 1 and probably get, I bet, a solid 1.5 higher if he had thrown it for the first time in heat 3, right? Against Colapinto. The judges, again, human, they're going to get deadened to his thing. They're going to judge him against what they've already seen him do, which he's at a very distinct disadvantage now unless he can ramp it up, which that's going to be hard.
Well, we will see. It'll probably happen while we're still recording, potentially. The women are hitting the water again, Tatiana Weston-Webb versus Caroline Marks. So we will discuss that. But first, we've got a call in from a longtime listener, supporter of the show, not only in terms of, calling in and stuff like that, but also in terms of financial resources. So I would love to play his call for you here from CJ Hobgood.
WSL Chaos. Hey, barrel or nah? Life 360, having your kids and your significant other wifey on Life 360. Love to hear your thoughts. Definitely cuts down on a lot of texts, knowing who's picking up the kids. We don't have to do the when are you coming home. So yeah, barreling on that one, and then just listening. I only call when I'm going for a run. I don't get inspired, whatever. Listen, I listen to Jim Rome, and I listen to The Grit, and I pay money to Surf Splendor or whatever to, I know it's just a breadcrumb, and it doesn't really do much, but I don't pay for Stab. I don't pay for any other surfing ever. And this is, you guys are on the right track. Don't worry about making top 10 surfer poll, even if you're a great surfer. Don't worry. Yeah. So you guys are on it. You work, baby.
So, well, I think you might have a financial interest in Life 360 or whatever that is. We can discuss that in a minute. I'm just presuming that because that's a funny one to mention. But what I really wanted to play was him supporting us and giving us a pat on the back for not getting acknowledged in the top 5 podcast recommendations on 2 other legacy media platforms. Because since you've introduced the Grit After Dark and trying to offer our listeners more and more content that they seem to want, I have received nothing but validation and positive feedback. And I've never felt more inspired, motivated, nor had a more precise clarity on direction for where to move forward here after 10 years of support.
Thank you, thank you, thank you again to the listener and to CJ. Put a tear in my eye. I mean, CJ Hobgood, the greatest world champ we ever had. I wish that Siege was out there right now at Lower Trestles, ready to take it to Ítalo, ready to stop the bull, because I feel he could do it. But yeah, I got Life 360 too. I got
you actually, do you actually use it?
No, but because I was thinking,
I Googled it today too.
Yeah, I was thinking there's no way that Siege, but like what he's asking is putting your entire family basically in the algorithm where this app knows where you are, where your kid is, where your wife is, but it Big Brother surveillance. And I'm going to say absolutely not. I'm going to say whatever hassle it is to text a pickup spot, or even if the kid has, oh man, it fell through the cracks today and kid had to wait for 20 minutes on the, stoop at school before somebody came and got him. That is all better than Big Brother knowing where your entire family is at every minute of the day. All of this, we open the door to evil because it's easy. Zuckerberg, hey, we can communicate with friends and family. Great. All of a sudden now he owns you. He owns everything. You're like a little plugged into the matrix of the Zuckerberg machine. I think that about everything, including Life 360.
It's so true. So we have the implements to do everything that Life 360 allows you to do, or simplifies for you. Like, we have GPS on our phone already, so I could track my wife's location. We can text one another to let us know what our scheduling is. All of those sort of things we could do individually on different platforms, but they simplify it. They figure out a way to be like, hey, what are people now doing? Let's simplify it, streamline it all, and make it available to them and charge them a little bit for it. But really, it is what you said. It is, we now have surveillance on you. We know more about you and can predict better, by the way, where your movements are than you can predict for your own wife or kids or whatever. And that is the valuable information. And so it's not worth the price of admission.
I guarantee at some point too, somebody said, hey, look now we know everything about individuals. That's great. We know everything. Meta can say we know absolutely everything. We can go in and beat I am David Lee Scales test better than David Lee Scales could beat that test. We know more about him than he knows about himself. But we're missing something here, the family unit. Now we need to know the family. Like, this is because the family operates as a unit. And so David Lee Scales is a part of this family. We're going to go own and exploit the family at this point, which that just seems cuckoo town. But real quick, do you have Find My Phone on your wife's phone? Does she have it on your phone? Is it on? Is it operating? Or do you have air tags on each other?
I don't know if is Find My Phone a specific app?
I think you toggle it on.
That's what we use. We use the one that the Apple phone or the iPhone comes with, where you just allow them to see your location.
So that one's toggled on for you.
Yeah.
That one is absolutely toggled off for me.
It's only on for my wife.
It's not on for you?
Meaning for one another. Like, it's not like my parents can see where I'm at or anybody else. I'm saying
it is off for my wife too. I want, not that I'm out there doing sneaky stuff, but my goodness, give me one little bit of dignity. Give me one bit of mystique and mystery. Don't look at your phone and see again that I am here or there or the other place. Not that I'm doing anything bad. Give me the opportunity to do something bad.
So for us, it's a matter of practicality, so that I don't have to text like where are you at? Or if I get home and she's not home, I can just look and be like, oh, she's at the grocery store or she's getting her nails done or whatever. So we don't have to send too many text messages. But what's interesting for me is she has a lot more people that can see her location than I do. She's the only one who could see my location. But for her, it's like all of her sisters, her close circle of friends, her parents, everybody. And so she'll be out with a girlfriend, and then she'll get a text from the other girlfriend and is like, are you out with so-and-so tonight? Like, why didn't you tell me? Or her sisters will be like, why are you out on a Thursday? Or whatever it happens to be. And then she'll come home and have to account for her location to these other people, which I think that's kind of what they want. They want that accountability, or not accountability for doing anything wrong, but just that connectedness, you know?
That is absolute madness to me.
Me
That is
too.
like, it doesn't get crazier than that. I will never turn that on. It's like, and I also don't understand the people who have the turned on, or because I think it's from the sender who has this turned on, the message delivered versus message read.
Right.
That is baffling to me, that you want me to know when you when you got my message and then when you read my message. I don't want you to know. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many times I get a message and I hit it and I think I'll get to that later. I don't want
Yeah,
to know
exactly.
the person to know that it was read.
I know. That was a barrel or knob, by the way,
For sure
years
it
and
was.
years ago that I
But
presented to you.
but this is the same. And I think we all need, everyone, dear listener, fight back against the machine. We're going to lose. This is going to be Terminator at some point. We are going to live in a dystopia. Oh, speaking of, have you seen Furiosa?
It's on the top of my list, but no.
Oh man, I watched the first half. It was, the flight from Utah was not long enough to catch the whole thing, but I was thoroughly engrossed. But
Yeah.
anyway, uh, this is all going to be Terminator. We are going to lose against the machine. This
Yeah.
is a fact. Fight a little harder than giving the machine your family's whereabouts at all moments. Just do a little bit more, yeah,
So
fighting than that.
here's how this works, and this is how we've seen it play out over and over again, is it's exactly what you said. The big tech is wanting to know everything about you more than you know about yourself. So Amazon obviously knows almost the most, probably right there with Meta and Google. And so Amazon then produces Alexa. They put this machine, this listening device in your house. So now the listening device knows exactly how much time you spend in the kitchen versus the bathroom versus the bedroom. And it can now, based on that, predict when you're going to need to buy toilet paper, when you're going to need to buy milk, all that kind of stuff. They're all doing that. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is what is happening, right? Well, then LifeForce 360 comes in from the side and they go, well, we also want to know what they're doing outside of the house. So we're going to implement this strategy to simplify their life and gather all this other data. Mark my words, Amazon buys Life 360 down the road. It'll be 2 years, 18 months from now or whatever. And they want to know all that information. So then the big entities only get bigger and bigger, and they grow, and they have all a complete comprehensive view of what is going on. And the reason I bring that up, thank you, CJ, is because it relates to us being independent surf media and him giving us $10 a month to support us, because things do get to that stage where they are only owned. I mean, we've already seen it in the clothing space, right? Where all the big clothing brands are now owned by one or two entities, and they just homogenize the content. They simplify your life in certain ways and kind of feed you up what you want to see, but it does homogenize and make less interesting everything that's going on in surfing. And so for us to be sitting here criticizing, whether it's Kelly Slater, criticizing the powers that be, that might be Kelly Slater, the big brands, us ripping Billabong for their Iggy Pop campaign 8 years ago or whatever it was, I definitely heard negative feedback about that from within the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
of
like
course.
compromised our legitimacy within the actual industry itself. But I mean, look, we might have gone too far at times. Certainly we maybe are too rude or something like that. But being able to hold power to account has tremendous value. And the only way, and then kind of where we're at now, where Stab Magazine doesn't include us in their survey, even though clearly we have one of the biggest audiences. Surfer Magazine doesn't acknowledge us the following week. The powers that be trying to just ignore for CJ to call in, pat us on the back, just be like, dude, no, that means you're doing something right. And listeners validating it by you presenting a news show, an alternative show, and people going over there and validating it, I think is an indicator that we're on the right path and that there's a real value in independent surf media. And the way that that stays independent beyond Veyor watches, beyond drinkag1.com/surf and weekend vans and stuff like that is through support. Like, we are listener supported. So you can go and set up your support. We know we don't mention it often enough, but let's get real. We have not had a raise in years. Like, nope. we don't raise that $5 or $10 if you want to do the double ever. We haven't ever, but by and large, we've been getting paid the same amount for 2 or 3 years now. And so we don't get a raise unless more listeners sign up and support the work. And I think now more than ever, it's important to support the work.
And again, yeah, thank you, CJ. I like to think of, you talked about, whatever, respect or support within the industry. I like certain people in the industry. I don't like others in the industry, whatever. The industry as a thing, pro surfing as a thing, the World Surf League as a thing. Like, I feel that our show is the anti-Stab in this way. Sam McIntosh, Stab's, co-founder and current brains, is all about access journalism. If we don't, fluff feathers, if we don't stroke, all this is where our bread is buttered. Our bread is buttered on the professional side. And then we can't give you people drippings. So let us stroke and be happy with your drippings. I am so opposite. I can care less. And I do. I could care less about the industry side. The only thing that interests me are the people, right? Is speaking whatever truth about this wild, weird, funny thing that we all love, and having that conversation, right, with people, which starting this kicking off a spin-off show of our podcast, which, do we have a name yet? Is it official? Are we going to get to that?
Oh God, I got to check the poll. I haven't checked the poll since I posted it last night.
Okay, we can get to that later, but having
working title After Dark.
Working title After Dark, having a new spin-off show, this show, I realize this show is not based on an algorithm, nor is, it's real people listening. It's real people that I'm getting feedback from. So Beach Grit will swing wildly because Google controls the levers of power. And so some days Beach Grit will get, near 1 million hits. Other days, Beach Grit will get less than 10,000 hits, right? It's not based on the content. It's not based on anything. It's based on how Google is feeling that day, what the robot is doing, right? That is not the same with this podcast, which is what makes me think these podcasts and building an actual community is what matters. So even starting my Instagram again, which, man, I wanted to be out of Zuck's world, but I realized, okay, tough, we live in Zuck's world. This is a place, though, that I can communicate with real people. And so rebuilding it based on the whole thing is just going to be about real relationships with listeners, right? With this community where, so again, yeah. And being supported by the community, I would so rather that than anything. And I am so thankful for AG1 and Weekend Vans and Veyor watches and those who support, but I feel that these are brands about the people and for the people, which is why they're supporting.
Completely agree. And so for the record, if you want to support, go to surfsplenderpodcast.com and you can go click, there's a support button on the left, like on the side of the screen or through the main navigation tab. You could set it up. It's $5 a month, or you could double it at 10. There's no paywalled content. We'll try to do freebies and stuff like that. You could actually get an ad-free version of the show as well. You have to do a little bit of work to copy and paste that into your podcast app, but I'll send you directions for how to do that. But that absolutely is the building blocks of the show. Advertising dollars come and go. Like, some months they sign up for a certain campaign, so it might be a certain amount one month and then less the next month, but the building blocks are those subscription $5 bricks. But here's my thought: forget about just a network of podcast shows. Now that we're kind of going into this idea and thinking about it in these terms, there's a network of TV style shows, social media accounts. There's a potential magazine. There's an entire ecosystem of content that is as much by the user as it is for the user. And you know what I mean?
and not user generated in the way that I think
No.
people got creepy about it in terms of, hey, you're going to produce free content for us. We are going to make the money on that thing, right? Not in that way at all. But in terms of, and I know you didn't mean it in that way, but in terms of this community is an interesting community. I was talking with 𝗕𝗿𝗏 the other day about the fascinating people that I've got to meet through this show that I would have never, ever, ever met in a million years anywhere else, right? I mean, all walks of life. We talked about, I mean, and go listen to After Dark if you want to learn about one of the movie poster dude. What's his name again?
Neil Kellerhouse.
Neil Kellerhouse, who is one of the leading movie poster designers of our time, an icon of movie posters.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought? How would you ever meet him outside?
Right.
But anyway, the community is what has value, and
Completely.
building that and helping to foster that feels good.
Well, again, after a decade of podcasting, after a decade of beach grit, I think we're finally onto something here. The feedback has been super supportive always, but these last couple of weeks have really bolstered my belief.
Great. Thank you all.
People want more. We're here for it. And so we appreciate your support. I mean, I was talking to somebody else yesterday and I was like, look, you know, he's like, can you take some of those revenues and obviously reinvest into the business and then build those things out? And it's like, yeah, I mean, you do slowly, you know, unless you want to bring on an investor, because when I'm talking about a network of TV shows, whether it's a traveling show with us or surf/travel/food show for you and I, like, uh, you can bring on an investor and then figure out what that looks like and then invest in something like that and then pitch it to, you know, do a sizzle reel or whatever, pitch it to something. And that's all like a big thing. Or you just do it organically and you do it slowly and you bring on a video producer and you go do a small trip. And so that is the way. I think it's through listener support, invest in little things, get a little feedback on it, see what works and grow it from there. But we're here to do the work. We're excited to do the work, and listener feedback has been the buoying of it all. So
that's what we do, is work. May not be good work, but it's work.
It is definitely work. Okay, I got a pro in the wild. I teased this to you earlier. In support of Billy Kemper, which I think it's about high time somebody swings in for Billy.
Boys, what's happening? It's Britt Merrick. I'm calling it the pros in the wild, which is weird for me because I grew up around pro surfing. Pro surfers are who I hang out with all the time, make boards for, spend a large portion of my life around. So it's not a big deal for me to see pros, but I feel compelled after the August 23rd episode, a caller called in about Billy Kemper and his kid getting hit by a longboard in town and him going off. So there's been a lot of piling on Billy. I don't really know Billy. I've only ever had one conversation with him, but this is my story. I was on the North Shore.
Hey, Chaz, hold on. I got to go deal with the dog.
Yep.
Sorry, the neighbor kid came over and the dog's freaking out.
No worries. Tati's got Caroline on the ropes.
Okay, I'm pushing play. It's same where we left off.
And Billy Kemper stopped me behind Pipeline on the little alleyway there and just said the kindest things to me. And again, I had never met Billy, don't really know him, had no reason to say that to me. I'm nobody on the North Shore. I'm a 6'6" Hallie who's afraid of big waves. Like, what? But he made a point to stop me in the alleyway and for a long time said the kindest things. It was about surfboards and stuff. He doesn't ride my boards. He's never asked me for boards. I've never made him for a board. I don't think there was any, I've never made him a board, no agenda there. But he was so kind. And then every time I'm on the North Shore, I see him on the beach with his kids and other kids and taking care of the kids and putting time in with kids surfing. And I think in all my years of going to the North Shore, which has been over 40 years, it's the kindest interaction maybe I've ever had with a local surfer there. So there's one for Billy. There's a positive pro in the wild for Billy. You know, everybody's complicated. Everybody's multifaceted. Everybody's got highs and lows and different sides to their personality. But I think there's a really cool, kind, generous part of Billy. That's what I experienced anyway. So that's it, boys. Keep it up. Merrick Loggers on me.
We
You
should
want to?
have a segment. We should introduce a segment of the show that comes after every show. I guess it would come the following show, where we do our thing, we talk, but then at the end, it's the truth with Britt Merrick. And Britt just calmly walks us through just all the right things, the correct path, the correct read, the way to live, the end.
I know. I love it. I love his sensibility. He's hard to argue with, as you learned. However, I don't want to pile on Billy even more, but I have a feeling, I feel as though Britt actually made our point for us, or not that we were trying to make a point, but Billy, the examples we've been given are Billy interacting with plebes, people he doesn't know, and Billy interacting with somebody who he admires. So when he's interacting with somebody he admires, Britt Merrick, he is generous,
Best behavior.
best behavior, lovable, charismatic. And when he's out in the real world interacting with just random Joe Schmoes, he's screaming at them for hitting his kid with a surfboard accidentally.
I will say though, Britt is right that multifaceted people are, right? And once a narrative takes hold though, and Billy's not famous enough in real life, but he's, I suppose, core surf world famous, right?
And he lives in a surf world where he's treated like a celebrity regularly.
Sure, but the narrative amongst the peanut gallery, if it starts to take hold that Billy is a bad guy or acts maliciously, I suppose our world is small enough where, unlike Hollywood, unlike where, you know, a Page Six or a TMZ or a New York Times or Washington Post, or whatever, can get their teeth into a narrative and just set that narrative for somebody, no matter what, right?
Yeah,
That
true.
they can take one interaction from somebody and just build, and pile. And it's an those media entities are big enough, I think, to bury someone under their narrative. The surf world's small enough where if Billy's frustrated by that narrative, or if that's not really a true narrative, if somehow a couple of bad stories, like, you know, him stealing money from other pro surfers and after, or totally reneging on a deal that he
Right.
had, or, you know, him yelling at some dude for bumping his kid with a longboard or whatever. I think but then Britt comes in with a counterweight. All of this will shake out in real life. We'll either get more stories of Billy being bad, or we'll get more stories like Britt's, where Britt felt compelled to call. Britt felt, hey, I've had a great interaction with this dude. Others will call in, I have no doubt. But it's on, like, the truth of Billy will sort of shake out. We will see he may be complicated. He may have good days and bad days, or he may fully be submissive to people he likes and an asshole to people he doesn't care about. We'll see.
My role, or what I would like to think our platform is critical thinking and allows for all of the discourse. Because with the Page Six example, where they're just going to pile on a certain narrative and there's no allowing for a counter narrative to even bubble up and have a conversation, I see why they do it, but I have no interest in doing that. But I do like telling the truth if there is kind of even if it's a stain on somebody's reputation, if it's accurate and it's true, then sure, share that story. But if there's a counter story, Britt's story, I'd love to be able to share that too. And so I think so much, and maybe the reason where that name 𝗕𝗿𝗏𝗏 popped up for our sideshow or spinoff show is it presents itself as rot. Actually, like whatever we're doing, we kind of present a certain superficiality to the branding and the logo and the initial topic of conversation, throwing it out there. But really a layer beyond that, we're trying to have a little bit more, realistic and detailed and multifaceted conversation than anybody else is actually really having in the surf space about these things. That's kind of my ambition.
Yeah, completely. And again, like, we've lost the grayscale in terms of conversation, right? You're either this or you're that. You are pro this or anti that. You are, like, nuance is gone. And I love the nuance. And I love to be wrong on, if I have an opinion, I love to, because how boring and bland is life without ill-informed opinions getting tossed around that can then get hammered down or whatever, right? But the nuance of it, I miss in my daily life. Not my daily life. I get that with my friends, but I guess I miss it in the popular culture that
Exactly.
nuance is becoming quieter and quieter, and just like big primary colors are, that's it. We just paint with reds and blues now. That's all we do.
Completely. Just a side note as we're watching the surf con. Oh, by the way, I did want to put a pin in what you said about Britt's commentary. Everybody is multitudes. So I agree, despite what I said about Billy, everybody does have multitudes, and that is interesting and worth keeping in mind always. Um, but back to the contest, today's event, I don't know if you recognize, but over on Stab Magazine, they're finally implementing live commenting on their website.
Oh no, did they do it?
They did it today.
What does it say? What is it called?
I have to pull it up, but let me see. Stab Magazine, WSL Finals live commentary flashing. WSL Finals live updates, commentary, betting, talk, and conjecture.
So they got a bet sponsor in order to do something.
Well, they've had that for a while, but the live comment stream is the new element, which of course 𝗕𝗏𝗏 has been doing for years.
Years. Well, good. I'm
So
glad.
they have 168 comments thus far.
You want to know how many 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗃 has?
Yeah.
𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗃 has 1,307 thus far.
You guys have been at it for longer.
I mean,
That's where
but that's
people
the thing
go.
too, is like, have at it, Stab. I used to feel some kind of competition with Stab.
Yeah.
Uh, oddly, I never or very rarely think about Stab. The only time I think about Stab these days is when you bring it up on this show and say,
Yeah.
Did you read Stab XYZ?
Right.
Otherwise, it is immaterial to both my surfing life and what I care about surfing. It's like ball tickling, industry sucking, pro surfer fondling thing. It's really, Stab started edgy, lost its edge probably when Derek left, and has continued to become a mainstream pillar in and of itself that is absolutely not interesting to me.
Well, if they ever implement a matchmaking element of their website, I will feel a complete affront to our efforts to break the Subaru stereotype.
As you should. This is going to be one of the high watermarks of our year, I feel, this Subaru Gen story.
If we can actually make it happen,
Exactly.
I think it would
Or
be.
is it? Do we have an update?
We do have an update. Unfortunately, we don't have a match made in heaven quite yet. I apologize for neglecting to give you an update last week. It was a busy show. I'm going to start amplifying this messaging on social media as well, so we can kind of grow her options from here. But the update is
we
that
really did hone in on one guy, didn't we? We did that too early.
Well, look, that would have been the ultimate love story. But
you'd think, but getting that in your head, then you all of a sudden close down options, which is not the point. We should have opened. Seems great.
I was
Let's go
going
get
for a
more.
grand slam, dude.
Yeah, I know. I was feeling it with you.
Unfortunately, Blake has opted out honorably.
Did he write?
So he did write in, and let me see. Let me see where I pasted his information. Okay. So Blake heard our show about Jen's deal breakers and wrote back to say, I have a couple of her deal breakers as part of my personality and character. And I don't think that would be fair to proceed to phase 3 with it fully acknowledging and hearing what she's saying. So he basically said, I might not be the best person for her for a variety of reasons. I just moved back to California from Massachusetts and am currently living with my parents. So that was one of her deal breakers, somebody who deals with her parents. So the catch here is, of course, he's an MIT grad. I think he's a PhD from what I remember. Yeah, PhD
mechanical engineering, not in some weird thing that he's not going to get, not in, in
exactly
communication.
But, so he goes, of course, this is short term, but even in the longer term, we might lack geographical alignment. I do not like the West Side. Even the South Bay annoys me these days, and I probably won't settle in LA. Finally, I'm not sure I would call myself a full-blown downer Dan. That was one of her deal breakers. But I do have a melancholy disposition at times. I can be fairly gregarious in social situations, but I need alone time to recharge. Anything is possible with love, but I'm afraid this one might be too steep of an uphill battle. I hope that you're able to find someone great for Jenny.
Well, man.
It only makes me like him better, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. And if I was Subaru Jen listening here, I would say, well, maybe my deal breakers aren't so deal breaky, Dan.
So this is the exact crux of this online dating thing, which is certainly when you start out, you compromise your deal breakers. And after you compromise your deal breakers 15 times and you spend maybe 6 months with somebody and you realize, holy crap, my deal breakers are in place for a reason. I should have listened to myself back then. Then you stop breaking your deal breakers.
Here's the problem, though, is that back to nuance, David Lee Scales, is living with your parents. Clearly, that's a box that, is it Blake?
Yeah, Blake.
Clearly, that's a box that Blake ticks, living with his parents. He obviously clearly is not. What she means by that probably is somebody unmotivated, right?
Yeah,
Somebody
totally.
who is either lazy or satisfied or whatever. It's not specifically living with the parents. That's a metaphor for a deeper issue, right? So that thing should get broken right away. She should look at that and say, oh, I didn't actually mean that as a deal breaker. I meant I don't want somebody lazy. He's clearly not lazy, went to MIT, got a PhD. Also, I don't want a downer. What does that even mean, right? Like somebody who's serious. Like, I mean, I get that she doesn't want a dude who's maybe negative, who's always complaining or something like that. But that's different from a downer. Like a nice stoic dude who just stands and observes and takes it in, a calming presence, wonderful. Even if you like to be bubbly. And let us not forget the old adage, opposites attract. I think when we're honing it and refining it too much, there's just got to be some magic there, right? At the end, I would still like for Blake and Subi Jen to go on a date.
It's up to them. He opted out. I can't force him into the fit. And so I'm going to leave it where it is. We can only present options. They can opt in or opt out. I would like to open up the options for Jen at this point. So if you are a male listener within the sound of my voice and you live anywhere near Santa Monica, Jen is based in Santa Monica. She works in healthcare. Her passions are surfing outdoors. She's looking for an educated, athletic, adventurous type. Funny is good. We mentioned that seaweed farmers get to the front of the line, and we were very confused about what that meant. Well, guess what? Jen gave us direction on what that means. Clarification. Hold on. I got to now find her email again because I forgot to copy and paste that one bit.
While you're looking, Caroline Marks is going to sneakily stun Tatiana Weston-Web in the last moment unless a wave comes through. Caroline Marks, metronomic or whatever, like a metronome, her metronome backhand attack.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I didn't see the wave, but I'm glad to see her in first now. Okay. She said about the seaweed farmer, it's more of a career I'd like to have. California has too many coastal restrictions to allow it now, although I would work here, or although it would work here. It's one of the fastest growing crops that requires very few resources. I think it would be lovely to work on the water and make products from it. That's more of a pipe dream for now. However, there are seaweed farms in Humboldt, Oregon, and Alaska, not just Japan. Haha. But yeah, rugged, outdoorsy surferman sounds great. I think you guys are on the right track.
Okay, so here we go, though, real quick. I know she does live in Santa Mo, but if you are a seaweed farmer anywhere in the world, I'd say throw your hat in because maybe
it's true.
Just like that show was a popular show, I think. Farmer Wants a Wife or Farmer Needs a Wife or something.
Forgot about that.
Seaweed Farmer Wants a Wife. Like maybe if it all snaps, Jen would be fully willing to relocate. If this is her dream to farm the seaweed, have seaweed farmers, come one, come all, please.
So we can do matchmaking and profession making.
You know who I bet knows a seaweed farmer?
Who?
Keith Malloy.
You mentioned that.
I bet he knows one, don't you think?
I would, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
So, yeah, somebody get Keith on the horn. Keith is probably out on his tractor right now. Keith probably doesn't even know what a podcast is, to be honest. So, a podcast, this is newfangled casty pods. Somebody go tap Keith on his shoulder and ask for his Rolodex, his paper and pencil Rolodex for the name of his seaweed farmer friend.
Well, if you want to meet Jen and you want to see what she looks like, if you want to access to her social media profile, I hold the keys to all of that information for you. If you want to get upgraded to phase 2, email me surfsplendor@gmail.com. I'm telling you right now, she's a catch beyond the things that we've already discussed here. And yeah,
Are you saying that she is a babe, David Lee Scales?
I am a catch in all ways.
Okay. There you
So
go.
yes.
So
yes.
wait, I think you need to sell that a bit more. I don't mean to be superficial, but is she a smoke show?
I refuse to comment.
You have to say you like we're
I'm
trying to
telling
help
you,
Jen
she's a
out here.
catch. She's absolutely attractive. I'm not going to label it with a number or anything like that.
Okay. But
But
you're
yeah,
saying
absolutely. There will be very few guys who get access to Jen's private, photos and all that sort of stuff who are choose not to continue.
okay. Okay.
I
guess so.
Yeah, so submit to surfsplendor@gmail.com and then give me a little summary of yourself, include access to what you look like so I can provide that to Jen, because I agree with you. Physicality matters. And so,
Of course it does.
You want to be able to opt in on physicality. We're not trying to conceal anything like that. So surfsplendor@gmail.com. And then
So real quick, now it's Ítalo versus hometown hero Griffin Colapinto paddling out. Ítalo, this is the third or fourth time, or what? He's won, two. This is his third go. He jumps off the stage every time and lands in that sand. So they have that. They're continuing on. They've toned down a bit the big time wrestling Chris Cote introductions, but he still introduces both surfers in a kind of that sort of way. Ítalo has jumped off the stage, landing in the flats of the sand, then sprints to the water, right? Of course, it's his like psych out move. What if on one of these, Ítalo just absolutely blows his ACL jumping off the stage and
I think
just
he could.
that'll be it.
It's crazy, right? Like it's a risky move to do on finals day.
I mean, it's a pretty big, looks like a pretty big jump. And Lower Trestles is not known for its sand. It's known
Right.
for its cobbled stone. So the sand is imported, but it's not like fluffy, soft, bottomless sand.
Yeah, totally. Great point. Okay, well, let's go to commercial break and we'll be back with the inertia and barrel or not. All right, Chaz, welcome back from commercial break. So
this is the first time I feel you do this often. This is the first time I've multi-screened the podcast.
Is it distracting? Is it hard?
No, because again, much to Lower's finals day's chagrin, it just ain't that interesting.
Yeah.
Like I would rather look at your static face or than watch the surfing.
Yeah. It's the perfect way to watch the surfing though.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't, without us having a full conversation, it wouldn't be worth watching.
No, I would have it off. I'm watching more now than I would have.
I know, that's funny. So after all our stingray talk in the last months, Hemi got hit.
Hemi got nabbed by one. Oh man. Oh man. It is like bad. I mean, as a parent, obviously your child is in pain. You would do anything to stop that pain, but it's really so we were out at Carlsbad, which we shouldn't have been at to begin with, but met a friend out there. She was surfing with a buddy, and then it was obviously garbage wave. So they brought their boards in and went to, play out in the water. So, and I was thinking the whole time, okay, dodging bullets, time to call them in, dodging bullets, but always is the background noise of what are you doing? Like, let the kid play. Don't be a fearful Nancy, thinking about, oh, what could happen bad, but really legit right after they'd probably been in splashing for 40 minutes. And I was like, okay, that's plenty of time. We got to go anyway. I see them waving and I wave back, and then friend is like carrying Hemi. And then I was like, oh, and right away I knew. I was like, and so I ran out to the water. She said, oh, Papa, I got hit by a piranha. I got bit by a piranha. And I like hold her foot up, and the unmistakable right in it was like where the ankle on the top, where the ankle meets the foot, kind of.
On the top. Okay, that's not as dangerous as the back.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh no. So raced her up. Thankfully, a saint of a father had a piping hot thing of Yeti tea, or a Yeti full of tea. So I dumped that on her foot. I mean, and talk about like eyes rolling back in the head, probably almost passing out from the pain. Raced her home, hot water in the bath, just holding her leg in the bath. But it is a nasty, nasty, nasty thing to witness your child go through.
Was she seething the whole way home?
Seething
In
mad.
pain.
Oh yeah. She was like, couldn't sit, right? So I laid her out on the back seat and she was just writhing,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
uncontrollable writhing and like kind of gibbering nonsense, right? Or not nonsense, but like her like talking from deep within her soul, like going through, when I'm in, like one of them was, when I'm in Swan Lake, I'm gonna wear, this and like going through when she dances Swan Lake as a famous ballerina, how she's gonna actually look doing it, but like going somewhere, you
That's
know,
crazy. Like trying
yeah.
to distract from the pain.
And
Think,
who knows, even just going
wow.
somewhere in the pain, and yeah, like so when she finally came out, like when it subsides, I guess that's the good thing about a stingray thing, where because everything I read, I was like, oh, you initially think, should I go take her to the doctor? Uh, but then no, 'cause it even says there's nothing you could do but hot
Yeah.
water it, right? Unless
Yeah.
it's infected or the stinger's still in there or something. And so it made me appreciate, I guess, the Stingray for this of it doesn't ask anything more from you than just to get through its pain. And once you get through its pain, unless there's aggravating factors like again, infection or the barb gets stuck in you or what. I said did somebody talk to the show about that? Or no, I talked to somebody who a stinger went entirely through their foot, right? Where like
Crazy.
these are the outliers. I think the normal is it's torture, but it
Yeah.
is a torture that ends.
It is. The move, by the way, with the hot tea would have been not to dump it on, but to somehow get a vessel that you could soak her foot
So,
in with the tea, because the relief only comes the moment that the hot is touching it.
but I think it wasn't relief; it was torture. Like it was way worse dumping hot than it was normal, and it was worse in the bath. You've been stung?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The hot water neutralizes the protein that's in the poison.
So I think it was when she was in the bath, then once she took it out, it was like, I mean, I had her in the stinking bath for 90 minutes, but the dump, I could see like it just started oozing out blood and weird stuff when I dumped the tea on, where I feel the hot water like had like sucked some of the poison out and made it not
Yeah.
so bad long term.
Yeah.
But also now I feel she has a superpower as a ballerina, getting hit on the foot by a stingray. Spider-Man bit by a spider. Look at
True.
that. Batman, did he get bit by a bat? He sure did. Like
So
I
it'd be
feel
like instead of the Swan Lake, she'll be like, yeah, there'll be a new superpower, Stingray, I don't know what, but
I
yeah,
fully feel that
Stingray woman.
she is dancing with the powerful venom of a stingray.
That's true. I like it
Yep.
a lot. She
Yep.
can create some brand new whipping motion as if it were the tail.
Exactly.
Man, sorry to hear that. That seething pain I remember well. It's just I was in the car being driven to the lifeguard tower, and it was like there's a bit in Family Guy where he like hits a shin and he just sits there for an extended period of time
Yeah.
going, ow. And you just have to rock back and forth. You can't be motionless when you're in
Yeah.
that much pain.
No.
It's really, really wild. It takes all of your focus. It's crazy. So sorry to hear that about her.
But she's
But
now experienced it and she's not scared. We were at the beach twice yesterday and
crazy.
wife asked her, hey, are you scared? He's like, nope. Like charge it right back in. Like I think she
Amazing.
knows what it is now. Doesn't want to do it again. Doesn't want
Yeah.
it to happen again. But if it happens again, she knows what it is. So
Wow.
it's not that worried.
Well, another update. I was complaining about the price of a roof rack for my car. Somebody chimed in and goes, dude, they now make roof duffels. They're $100, or you can get $100 version. Yakima makes them, Thule makes them for a few $100, but you can get $100 version on Amazon. They hold everything. They're as easy to put on and take off of your car as soft surf racks are, but it's a really ingenious kind of hardware structure that latches onto your car. And the duffel is very similar to like that Patagonia, whatever that plasticky type duffel material is. That's kind of weatherproof, and they're phenomenal.
Do you still need to buy, though, $800 worth of hardware to mount your duffel?
Nope. It just straps on similar to soft surf racks.
Well, look at that. Does it make
Crazy.
like soft surfer racks? Does it make an amazing flapping sound in the wind when you get it wrong?
Don't know about that. Did not ask, but potentially. But he said it's an amazing solution.
Sweet.
The inertia, or I've got two headlines for you, and you got to decide which one comes from the inertia.
Okay, I hope you learned your lesson last time by making one of them interesting and one of them boring.
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
Okay.
You'll see. I could be doing it specifically to throw you off the scent. We will see. Option A, childhood fears confirmed. Quicksand lurks on America's beaches. Or B, a lovesick dolphin is assaulting beachgoers in Japan.
I'm going to go lovesick dolphin.
Is the inertia or isn't?
Is the inertia.
It is.
Yeah, that sounds.
We're 2 for 2.
Here's the thing with the inertia, though. Like, once you start, I mean, the inertia is so. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say the inertia is so a one thing, one note, one tone. I don't think you'll ever be able to throw me off. I'll be able to smell. I don't look at the inertia. I don't read the inertia. I never go, right? Like, people will send me ridiculous stuff or a Sam George thing, right? I'll like to make fun of Sam George. Otherwise, I don't. The tone of the inertia is so milk that I know exactly. I know when they think they're getting funky, which the lovesick dolphin is exactly inertia style funk. It's exactly the way they think. We're going to get a little saucy in here. Everybody get ready for some PG-13.
A lovesick dolphin is assaulting beachgoers in Japan is an inertia headline.
Yep, of course it is. It makes all the sense in the world. Shame on you. Who founded it again? What's his name again?
𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗁.
Shame on you for bringing into life one of the internet's worst, most toxic, disgusting corners.
Well, you were like the Rain Man when it comes to guessing inertia titles, and I want you to win. I'm not setting you up for a win. I'm still going to try to confuse you, but I want you to go with a flawless record.
Will not be confused. I feel I know the inertia. The inertia stung me like a stingray, and now I have the superpower.
You do. Do you need to take a call or go do something?
I got to go. Hold on. Now I got to let my dog out. 1 second.
I got to go pee. So, all right, Griff. It's a slow. This Griff versus Ítalo heat. 25 minutes left, but slow. The waves have slowed.
And again, I watched 𝗕𝗏𝗏's wave, and not that it wasn't necessarily a 5-6-7, but I feel the judges are having a tough time with how do you solve a problem like Ítalo Ferreira when you've seen everything he can do?
Yeah.
How do you keep your scale similar on it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and especially if the waves get less good, they're not as good as they were in the morning. So he's going to be doing a slightly less good version of what he was doing in the morning too.
backhand attack right there. Ítalo just wound up. That's going to put him in the lead over Griffin Colapinto with 24 minutes left. The beach. Oh, here's Griffin up and riding.
Your stream is 1 minute ahead of mine. I'm behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the similar waves. Griffin on his front hand, of course, Ítalo on his backhand, but ooh, Griff just sprayed Ítalo right in his face. Ouch.
This is like a peek into the future for me because I'm still watching Ítalo's ride.
Oh man, sorry for. I'm gonna have to.
No, I like it. Give me the lotto's winning numbers too while you're at it.
Ooh, was he? Griffin Colapinto just claimed to the throngs on the beach. It's Brazilians versus Griffin Colapinto fans live.
I'm watching Griff's wave right now, and it's a smaller wave, and it's much more horizontal surfing, cutbacks galore. So I'm going to guess lower score for Griff.
Definitely. And Ítalo was only Ítalo's second wave. Is Ítalo tiring out? But Griff like slapped Ítalo in the face very purposefully.
With spray?
Yeah. Who would have ever thought that Griff had like a real gamesmanship component to his surfing?
Yeah, he does.
Like that it seems like all the zen and all the whatever, it seems like what's going to win the day is a kind of mischievous fun having.
Yeah.
Where it seems like that's what Griff is doing.
I'm disappointed.
Mischievous fun.
So I'm disappointed in Griff with this wave. Him claiming it, especially at the end, is unnecessary. This is like the least good wave I've seen him surf at Trestles in a long time, and he's acting like it's a 10-point ride. He's just playing it up for the crowd and the judges.
I mean, but does it work, right?
Maybe.
I mean,
we'll see.
The judges are super susceptible, I feel, and especially if the crowd is hometown crowd is going berserk for him, then Yeah.
Yeah. Feels
I think it's a good move.
disingenuous to me. And you're right, though. If the showmanship wins the day, that will be a disappointment for sure.
Of course, this whole day is going to be a disappointment. Who can, I mean, it'll be a fun day, but when we look back, it'll be such a downer for the season
Yeah.
of this is what we did. This is where we decided.
Well, barrel or gnaw, finally getting to it. Came through on your new Instagram account on a caption or on a comment for one thing that you posted. And it is, quote, guys sitting with their legs crossed.
Boom. Huge barrel. I don't know how to sit. My legs are crossed right now. I don't know how to sit without my legs crossed. And I don't know if it's a product of being a lanky, skinny guy or a long-limbed guy, or I don't know what I am, but I can't think of how to sit comfortably uh, without crossing my legs. But caveat here, if you're doing it on purpose for effect, anything, and I can throw this almost out as a general rule, or as definitely a general rule, but almost without any what
Caveat.
yeah, caveat is anything you're doing for effect will come
Yeah.
across as you're doing it for effect. So if you're sitting with your legs crossed to try to look sophisticated or fancy, or other things that come along with sitting with your legs crossed, then it's going to come across as weird. If that's just the natural way you sit, barrel. I don't know how to sit otherwise.
Well, so of course we're talking about with the legs crossed at the knees touching each other rather than one ankle on one knee. And the reason, so this came through as a comment, and I haven't heard it in conversation in the last 10 or 15 years, but I remember when I was a kid, it was deemed effeminate to sit that way as a
Ladylike.
male. It was
David Lee
ladylike.
Scales.
And I remember the opposite was, or the alternative was as a male, sitting where your ankle is resting on your knee. So there's kind of a big triangle gap of space between your legs.
Rare to see
And
that these days.
what's that?
Rare to see that these days. I don't see the big triangle sit often.
I don't either, actually, now that you say it. But for me, when I was growing up, so I had that kind of what societal norms are. It's effeminate this way, it's manly that way. And then I was watching a talk show one time when I was a teenager, and Brad Pitt was on. I specifically remember Brad Pitt on. And he was talking about his appearance on Friends. Do you remember he had a storyline on Friends for a
I
while?
do vaguely remember.
I think he actually dated Jennifer Aniston, might have
Yeah.
been the storyline. And he was sitting there on the couch, comfortable, casual, chatting it up with the night, Jay Leno, I think it was. And he had his legs crossed in the quote, effeminate way. And I was looking at him, I'm like, this guy is cool as it comes. He's masculine. I saw him in Fight Club. He was pretty masculine in that. And that doesn't look effeminate to me. Like, he looks very comfortable and casual. So I guess maybe the society is wrong, you know? And as I've just practiced in my life, my hips are tight, and it's very uncomfortable for me to rest my ankle on my knee because it's stretching out my hips in a way that feels uncomfortable. It's much more comfortable to do the effeminate way, you know? And it's like, I guess the argument against it, or the effeminate reason, is it's going to crush your junk, but there's a way to adjust your junk so that it is not being crushed. There is a way to crush it too, but there's a way to sit and not crush your junk, and to sit with your legs crossed at the knee. So I'm full barrel. I do not think it looks effeminate at all anymore, and we'll do whatever's comfortable. And that's the most comfortable thing for me.
I will even raise the bar and say that sitting with your legged crossed in that kind of way is the peak way to sit. It is the best way to sit. I mean, I think we should make a list of the best way to sit down to the worst way to sit, like on a numerical scale. Best, highest, most evolved way to sit, legs crossed. Worst way to sit, I'll say, is like like maybe sitting on the ground, hunched over, holding your knees or something like that.
The squat.
Yeah, something like that is like we can workshop this some more, but I feel that there is a scale that we can actually establish for the highest form of sitting versus the lowest form of sitting.
Power rankings.
Yeah.
We'll get 𝗕𝗏𝗁 to chime in on this one.
Yeah. I'm sure he sits in a weird way.
For sure. The guy's super nimble. Okay. Barrel, I'm glad we're on the same page on that one.
Yeah.
Next one, barrel or not. Hello, Diamond Dave. Barrel or not? Saying that's gay to refer to something that is lame, weak, or otherwise limp-dicked, but not as a means of making fun of actual homosexuals. Here's the context. It's been a rough summer here in Southern California, as you know, or in California, as you know, no doubt. And whenever there's a hint of decent swell, the Vows, Surfline guys, tech bros, and hipster douches of the world descend like locusts into the coast side. One recent Saturday, I happened to pull into a parking lot of a certain Bay Area break not far from Kai Lenny's favorite Taco Bell, and was met with a familiar scene, a sea of Teslas and Sprinter vans, sorry, weekend vans, replete with dorky-looking, helmet-clad weekend warriors boasting to their buddies about how epic their sessions had been. And then it struck me, surfing has turned totally gay. Of course, there are still plenty of badass surfers out there quietly doing their thing, but as a whole, surfing is now far from being badass or edgy in any way, shape, or form. Now, calling things, quote, gay has been a habit I largely grew out of when I was still in my college, when I was in college in the mid-aughts. At the time, I came to the fairly obvious conclusion that it might be offensive to actual homosexuals and that it's more appropriate to just call something, quote, lame. However, lately I'm thinking it might be time for a comeback. Something about the term lame just seems insufficient. That, or I'm just a troglodyte child of the 90s. So again, I submit to you, is calling something gay a barrel or nah?
Hey, is this from Diamond Dave?
This is from, no, he called me Diamond Dave, but this is from
sweet.
Dr. Finestone.
I love this, Dr. Finestone, and thank you so much. And I totally understand the sentiment here, right? Of getting so caught up in, I don't know, political correctness. Let's just call it that. And getting overwhelmed by that. And yes, I feel that there's a lot of words that have been canned that we're not allowed to use anymore that should be fine. Unfortunately, I feel in the case of gay, it does reference one specific group of people that can't be avoided. And then so attaching a negative to that, of course, you're not calling the thing that's lame homosexual, nor are you probably or possibly having any negative feelings toward homosexuals. The problem is you're using the word to describe them as a pejorative, and that can't go. I would like to open the floor here to queer, calling them queer, which can mean two things, right? Where you can be on a fence here at least. And I'm not saying that we should use queer as a pejorative per se, but queer has two meanings, and you could just say, hey, I'm meaning that it's odd, but that's kind of not what you mean. We need to just be more creative with the word here, because he's exactly right. Lame is not good enough.
No.
There's some degradation that's happening where gay is properly off limits. I'm going to say that
I think it is
too. As a negative qualifier should remain anarchic.
So yes, the distinction specifically,
archaic, I mean, not anarchic. Sorry.
The origin of the word is exactly the problem. So when retard has been unfortunately unfairly canceled, because retard originally was
slow.
Well, no, it was originally used as a just a technical term, like it could be in a machinery environment. The machine has a retarder at this point that prevents things from passing from here to there, or only lets a limited amount pass from here to there.
I mean, it's something that means slows it down, right?
Exactly. So that was the original. It had a technical meaning originally, and then people applied it to somebody with mental illness to represent that. But the original meaning of the word was not about the person with mental illness.
But not mental.
I don't mean mental illness.
It's slow, but the person is slow. Learning disability, right?
Learning disability.
Slow compared to society, which that's rude to them because blah blah blah, right? But
the original word gay was in relation to their sexuality. And so then people used it afterwards to make fun of other things, but it was always the original word was pointing to the sexuality. So you know what I'm saying? Like the origin of the word was specifically it was specifically for something, and then it became derogatory about that thing. So you can't use it derogatorily for anything anymore because it was specifically about this one thing.
Yes, exactly.
That's the point.
But to our dear doctor's point, we do need a new word because lame is not good enough. Lame is overused. It is like it's lost bite. We need a word with bite that doesn't denigrate a group of people.
So surfing has become kooky.
No, because kooky I feel is lost bite too. Surfing has become faggy. As in a
Bag bag started
as in
out
a bundle of sticks.
exactly, or a cigarette.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a better argument could be made for bringing that back. It
Sure.
feels so much more offensive just saying it out of my mouth. But an argument could be made. There is alternative definitions for that word. Whereas
Yeah.
gay, there's only one definition and it should not be derogatorily used.
As the best ideas come from, though, let's open this up. I feel by next week's show, we will have the word that replaces both lame and that, but fills the void of gay.
See, the other thing is there was a lot of words I used when I was young that have now fallen out of fashion, politically incorrect, and I miss those words. Gay isn't one of them. I don't miss you referring to anything as gay.
But you miss having that as a, I understand again the doctor's point here because that provided cover for a certain way that things were not good, right? Or that things were whatever. And again, deservedly gone, goodbye. But that space has not been filled by another word.
I guess that's true.
And so we need another word to fill that space.
I've found other words for various things when I want to refer to them in a certain way. I've never been short of words until I think about the transition that's happened in surfing and the kookiness that's happened in surfing.
It is that precisely, and we need to define that. We need a word that's not just kookiness, though. It's got to be something a little different than that.
Yeah, gay was never the right word either, though, to describe that.
No, but we need one for that.
Yeah, we do need one for that. Okay, we'll get on that. He also had a postscript. He said, "P.S. I think the Grid After Dark is a fine name, and the connection to 2000 or to 90210 is hilarious." In a similar vein, do you remember the show Baywatch Nights? Just saying, Beach Grit Nights doesn't have such a bad ring to it either.
I do recall Baywatch Nights.
It was short-lived. I remember it happening, though.
I love that, like TV back in the day, they thought, okay, we got a good thing going. And then, of course, Peach Pit After Dark was not a separate show, but like you have a good thing going, and then what you do, you do the night version, the like more sexy, more like whatever version of it, which, yeah, funny.
Well, controversially, this third one coming in, as if that wasn't controversial enough. This was addressed in one of our earliest of shows, but it's been submitted a couple of times recently, so we will discuss it again. Using a surfing shot as your profile picture.
Tough one here. Tough one. I say I'm going to go barrel. I'm going to say it's fine. I'm going to say why not? At this point, surfing being gay and all, why not use, if it's a good shot, if that's really how you want to cement yourself. The profile picture is weird to begin with, right? Okay, so let's walk through the minefield of the profile picture from the get. It's either a picture of you thinking you look good. It's a picture not of you because you don't want to be narcissistic, which doesn't help the, your friends or community because, okay, now who is this person again? Like it's helpful to have your profile picture be you, right?
Yeah.
If you want a surfing profile picture, that's no worse, I will say, than any kind of either selfie, any kind of, self-aware, like, okay, I'm doing this, but I don't really mean to do this kind of thing. Like it's just a minefield. The profile picture is a minefield to begin with. It's a necessary evil, though. I will say the surfing version of that is no better or worse than anything else you put there. Anything else you can put there is either too self-aware or it's too on the nose. There's no such thing as the perfect profile picture. Prove me wrong.
Yes, but I think there is a way to navigate this. I agree with you. Like, I think when we first addressed this years ago, we both said no. And I almost want to come around to it for similar reasons to what you're talking about and almost say barrel, but I'm still going no barrel because to each their own, you know what I mean? But I err on the side of it is undignified. Think about the things that you hold most sacred and dear, or maybe that you even work the hardest on. Like, you don't really want to lead with those things, you know? Like, there's some weird dichotomy for whatever reason that the things that you work hardest on and you do have pride about, you don't want to lead with that. Like, if I worked incredibly hard physically and had a six pack, that wouldn't be my profile pic. You know what I
I mean,
mean? Or the ways that I love my wife the most deeply and express my love to her, it's none of your business. You know what I mean? And
I
so
hear you.
surfing kind of lands in that realm and landscape for me where it is what I put a lot of effort into. It's what
Too
I put a lot
sacred.
of pride into, but it's not what I want to blast out there to the public. Like, look at me. This is what I'm so good at. It's just undignified for whatever reason. It's
I totally,
gauche.
I totally hear you. And so, but I think then within the minefield of profile pictures, as you were talking, I think I stumbled upon the solution. We should, each and every one of us, especially men, I feel, I mean, ladies, join in here. Just take a picture of our passport picture and post that as our profile. That's your basically profile picture for everyone, like official on Earth when you travel. Why not just say, hey, this says nothing more or less about me than this is me, right? I feel that is our solution here
You're
is
right.
rip down anything you got, I'm going to do that today. I'm going to post my passport picture as my profile picture.
It's just the raw representation.
It is official, practical. I'm not getting any joy out of this, nor am I, caring. It's not nifty. It's not quirky. It's not, a tell on a part of my personality. This is the way my face appears when I'm standing in front of you.
Wow. How is your passport picture? Are you okay with it?
No, I look like a straight up, I'll post it today. You can see it. I look like it's a miracle that I ever get into any country. And it's understandable when I have to get thrown into secondary. I will say that even without my long laundry list of Middle East dubious travel, my passport picture does me no favors. But
Okay.
that's my passport pic.
That is
It is what
funny.
it is. Throwing it up.
All right. Well, glad we got to the bottom of that one. So the Grit After Dark uh placeholder title, we will now be publishing on Mondays, I believe, henceforth.
Did you look at the poll yet? Are you still holding out?
Nope.
Let's
I looked at the poll and I
let
screenshotted it when I looked at it.
let us tell the dear listener, if you're interested in some more that has
It's a
nothing to do with surfing, there's another show, uh second episode done, third episode this coming week. What is it called?
it's a very close race. 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗏 gets 46% of the vote. After Dark gets 43.
Wow. Should we let it roll a little longer or should we?
Submissions are still coming in. I also said, or submit your own. And so people are DMing new submissions. I've gotten some email submissions. So we'll have a couple that we want to mull over. But currently, 𝗕𝗿𝗏 is leading the charge.
There we go. So if you have a care, go head over to Surf Splendor on Instagram, go to the stories and participate in the poll.
And what's your new Instagram account?
My new Instagram account, where you can go look at my passport picture, is @TrashPros.
Awesome. Will you be attending the boardroom show this year? It's, I think, October 12th and 13th.
100%.
Okay. I just got a text. I was asking because Britt called in.
Mm-hmm.
I text Devin and I was like, hey, are you guys coming to the boardroom show? Like, is Britt coming? Will you have Merrick Logger? Like, what's going on? And he just replied this very second and said, Britt will be there on day one.
Okay,
So
so
anybody who wants to come meet Britt, come on Saturday, October 12th.
could we possibly do a live podcast not publish it live, but do a podcast there at the boardroom show, have a couch set up and have some guests come on and all that?
So not only can we, but Mike at Weekend Vans offered the van as a studio if we want to record in it. Unfortunately, my duties are spread so thin, I cannot record a podcast, but we could set you up if you want to.
Fantastic. Just come by, have some chit chats. Sounds like
Yeah.
a good time. Okay,
And
I'm in.
I'll tell Devin to bring some Merrick Lager too.
I mean,
So
maybe
people can
Devin, maybe Devs can co-host the hour.
I think that'd be smart. Yeah. I mean, again, everybody, like, they're going to be there they have a booth. Channel Islands has a booth, so they're going to be spread then through their booth obligations. So it's really hard to kind of steal away. You can kind of do it in terms of time, but it's hard to be good at it. It's hard to like really engage on both things. But if we can swing it, we will try.
We'll do it. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. And by the way, that is a reminder. Anybody who's within distance of Del Mar, California, come hang out at the boardroom show. It's a great opportunity to meet everybody.
Are you and I going to sit on air for another 2 minutes and 30 seconds while the Ítalo Ferreira Griffin Colapinto heat draws to a close, with Ítalo Ferreira holding a fairly substantial lead, 6.18?
I don't think
Hometown
that's
hero Griffin
substantial.
Colapinto needs to. You think Griff's got this?
So Griff has second priority with 2 minutes left, which means a set has to come with two waves in it, and Ítalo has to go on one of those waves.
Yeah, I feel Ítalo's got this. Ítalo's got the highest score thus far, decent, a bigger backup than, so he's got the two highest scores of the heat and priority with 145.
So I have not been watching the heat. I don't know how long it's been since the last set. So I can't predict what's going to happen. But ultimately, if Ítalo makes this, he's going to be facing John Florence in the finals. I think John might have more of an edge over Ítalo than he does over Griffin. I would be more concerned if I were John, drawing Griffin for some reason. But
do you reckon absolute heartbreak in the Colapinto camp? This will be the second time Griff came home, and the last time that this finals day will be at Trestles, where Griff was upended, as it were. Did he? Yeah, he got upended last year too, right?
It has to be heartbreaking, of course. But I mean, I don't know. I wasn't watching close enough. Did Griff have opportunities to do more than what he did?
I mean, the waves, let's just be honest, are they're not terrible for you or me. They're terrible for this kind of thing, and they really suit Ítalo's. Ítalo's just out there busting airs on little sections and doing Ítalo, right? Where
Yeah.
I think that's tough for Griff. Griff had some waves. He surfed them well as could be expected. But I mean, this thing, who was it? 𝗕𝗵𝗰 at Beach Crit called it right away. This was Ítalo's to lose, right?
Yeah.
Where
So
even coming five.
Ítalo just went on the first set wave and he's ripping it apart. And it looks like Griff might have an opportunity out the back.
Yeah, Griffin's behind him, but Griff's got nothing.
Oh, okay.
It's
so
got
your feed's ahead of mine still.
Yep. Griff's got a small 11 seconds. So Ítalo wins. Ítalo beats Griff at home. Griff's trying to claim it. Ítalo's like hyping him up in the shore break because Ítalo for sure knows that he won. There's
Wow.
hugs.
Ítalo shredded that wave too.
Well, yeah, I mean, then Griffin's is fine, but Griffin is not going to win. So Ítalo, we got an Ítalo John final.
Incredible. So, hey, despite what we want to have happen and our criticisms of the WSL, Ítalo is bringing his A game and doing everything that he needs to do to win a world title at this event.
It shouldn't be a world title. Ítalo is bringing his A game to win lower trestles, which is great. Yeah. But the World Surf League made a massive mistake when they made this the championship crowning event of the year. Dumb.
So who's your money on, John or Ítalo in the final?
I think John will take him. I think Ítalo, but I would not be surprised if Ítalo won, but I think John will do it. I think John's been sitting, watching, saying, okay, now get ready to see something.
So John, interestingly, they did the free surf yesterday where they filmed it and you could see the clips. They were wearing their jerseys. I felt like John put in the most lackluster performance out of anybody yesterday. But if you watch his Instagram clip from T Street from the day before, he put out on a performance that was mind-blowing in knee-high surf. And so I got the impression, I'm like, wow, John is fully capable of smoking Ítalo in small waves based on the Instagram clip. And he was riding like the dark arts construction, lightweight board, like the right board for the conditions. And then yesterday, it looked like he was riding a bigger board, just didn't quite fit, wasn't pushing it as hard. And I'm like, John is what's the right word? Sandbagging everybody yesterday with the jersey on. He's coming in at 50% yesterday with the cameras on, just so he could show up on finals day and pull out the A game when nobody's, when people had lowered their expectations.
Yeah. I guess good on Ítalo for winning Ítalo won lower trestles today and good for him. If Ítalo takes out John though, for the crown, I mean, it'll be a again, a disaster of a year and a result for the WSL.
Agreed. So I think Ethan didn't quite live up to his potential today. I think Jack Robinson totally crapped the bed. Griffin, I'm going to argue, could have made more of the waves that he actually got. I don't expect John to make the same mistake. I expect John to blitz. I expect him to get couple like high eights, maybe a 9. And so 𝗕𝗏𝗏 is going to have to elevate beyond what he's been doing thus far.
I can't remember. Is it best 2 out of 3, or is the dude, it's not just if the dude in first priority wins or the number 1 guy wins, then it's over.
It's
So best 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
Like,
no
what's the
what.
advantage of being number 1 then? Just not surfing?
Surfing less throughout the course of the day.
I mean, as far as surfing goes, it's not like they're playing professional football, like, or
it's not necessarily
marathons.
An advantage.
No, it's like a disadvantage, you could argue.
Yeah. All right. Scores are coming in for this final exchange. They're on the beach. As you mentioned, 𝗕𝗏𝗏 and Griff hugged it out in the shoreline after they completed their rides. Have you gotten the scores on your screen yet?
Not yet. 𝗕𝗏𝗏's hair. 𝗕𝗏𝗏 really went for a fully bizarre, like medieval monk kind of thing with his hair. It's such a weird haircut. Look at it.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird and makes him look weird. It's like, I can't believe he's hyped. How is he hyped? 𝗕𝗏𝗏, for the listener, is jumping around in the board room, just hyped.
So it was interesting. They were putting the stats on the screen. I guess they ran their own polls about who the fans were picking in each individual exchange. And every exchange today, people picked 𝗕𝗏𝗏. They picked him over Griff, or they picked him over Ethan. They picked him over Jack, and they picked him over Griff, which I guess the fans are more savvy than I am. I wouldn't have necessarily picked him.
Scores are coming in. It's going to be close. We got nope.
So
7-3. It's really, the judges are all over the board on Griffin's last wave. He needs a 7.15. He's got a 6.8, a 7.2, a 7, a 7.3. So this last score and a 6.8, not enough. So 𝗕𝗏𝗏 makes it through.
𝗕𝗏𝗏 makes it through. So that's Griff's score doesn't do enough. And I think 𝗕𝗏𝗏 still has another score to come into, which looked pretty good.
𝗕𝗏𝗏's punching the wall now in the room. He's jumping. He's screaming. He's berserk. He's an absolute berserker.
Wow. Okay. Wow. On to the final.
Till next time.
Great show. I'll see you for After Dark on Monday.
All right.
See ya.
Keep working.